Wow, so cool. Very sexy. Chaos. Chaos, chaos.
Oh, I even hit the right button. Oh my gosh. Wasn't quite expecting to do that. Am I off center? I am off center. Which way do I need to turn this? This way. Wait, can we keep Perler Bead Grinderbin in there? Ooh, a little bit. Good evening. How are y'all doing? An absolute pro. I do this professionally. I don't know if you know that. That's a real thing I do. How are y'all doing today? I'm using yesterday's glass, which probably... Do y'all... This has nothing to do with RPGs. I'm just curious. I grew up in a house where it was like every day you could not drink out of the same glass 2 days in a row because like of germs and stuff. Did anybody else? Was that like a common rule? Was that a not rule? And now to this day, if I like use the same glass twice in a day. Is that my Frodo mug? No, this is Arwen. Can you see it? Gosh, this is really hard to this is really hard to show. Oh, a little bit of the angle. We do have a Frodo. We have all four. But we have like a total of 11 of them. Because in order to get all four, I think I mentioned this on Dokapon last night, I had to get 2 separate collections for fairly cheap, honestly, on an auction website. In order to make sure we had. So now we have like 4 Arwyns and I think like 2 Gandalfs and like 3. What are the other ones? Aragorn and Frodo, I think. So now we have a bunch of these. But yeah, there were like a whole bunch of them for like, I don't know. It wasn't that much more than the shipping to send them here. It's a little auction site, so it worked out well. Are you a big Lord of the World Rings enjoyer? I am an enjoyer. My partner, though, is it's her favorite movie. The extended cut, all 11 and a half hours. That is her favorite movie. So we are a severe Lord of the Rings household. We were allowed to use glasses more than once growing up. So, like, in the same day, or like 2 days in a row, like you didn't wash the glass, you could just drink out of it again. That was acceptable. If it was washed, yeah, it'd be fine. But like an unwashed glass 2 days in a row. I hope a Mouth of Sauron mug exists. That's just a bunch of teeth on the rim. That'd be amazing. You hold it over your face. It's just like, eh. That'd be so great. Hey, Dower Dodger. I would absolutely buy that mug. And I do not need any more mugs. Is that a big deal? I mean, super open glass can get like dust and bugs in it. It's like refillable bottled water with a cap. It was the reason I was told was germs. Like you drinking out of it, you are putting germs in it from your mouth, from your meat hole in right here. And like, so the time it takes to like just sit out overnight, if you use it again the next day, it would be too dirty, too germy. Don't do that. But we had a lot of rules like that, so I'm not really sure how like normal some of those were. Family didn't care if you drank a dirty cup. That's on you. TTRPG Adventures got to drink from the same raw flask all the time. Well, yeah. They should be washing their canteens. Also, probably, if this is... Oh, man, that's a whole topic of, like, survivalism, but making it not unenjoyable. Where it's like, you're getting water, but, like, you're probably getting it from the wild, so you should be boiling your water. Instead of just drinking it, like, straight from creeks and stuff. Or maybe you got a real sturdy immune system. Aw, Cozy Apocalypse. I like the idea of Cozy Apocalypse. Like, basically, that's like a tree fort, right? Like you're just your little house and community are just kind of up in trees and like hanging out and like you farm the land right below you and around you. You hang out with other people, you watch the birds go by, like it's cozy apocalypse. There's no electricity. Twitch doesn't work here, PC. Hey Deebs. I'm sorry it doesn't. Where'd you get the Umbrella Corporation thing? That's cool. American Frontiers boiled their water and carried around iodine. Yeah, like that's important. Maybe sorts of bacteria don't exist in D&D. That's true. Also, in Fantasy World, you also can have like a spell. It's like purify food and water, and then you don't even worry about it. You just manufactured water. You've just been like, look, I've created purified bottled water. Yeah, magic does lower survival concerns by quite a bit. Subday when streaming RE9. Wait, did it come out? Is RE9 out? It can't be out. No. Wait, now I have to look it up. Is there like a demo come out? That's a 0, not a 9. That's still a 0, not a 9. What's its release date? February? It's February. So is there a new demo out? Revealed with a release for February 27th, 2026. Okay. People are streaming other Resi games. Oh, and saying the stream category to Resident Evil 9. So that counts. Oh, that's funny. That is cheating, but also it's funny. An adventurer who lost their supplies in an orc ambush will drink even from a mud puddle if they have to. I mean, you can. The problem is that drinking from bad water source can make dehydration worse if you get some sort of sickness from it that makes you, vomit or have diarrhea. And then you are now losing water at an even faster rate. So, like, drinking dirty water, like, momentarily might be like, oh, well, at least it's wet, but it could cause problems to be much worse. If it gets my badge, I'm cool with it. Resi characters keep getting covered in goo and guts all the time. Yeah, classic. I do like the idea of, like, losing supplies and maybe something with, like, magic and having, like, a short survival adventure in an ongoing campaign rather than, like, the whole game being about it, you know? Hey, far too many frogs. I came in at it must be wet, and my brain immediately played Yakko Warning saying, good night, everybody. That's funny. DMs let their player do long rest. That cures everything. Yep, everything. Just sleep it off. Like recovering your items or getting similar new ones. Probably recovering your items because it stinks to lose your stuff. But like you have to work at getting them back. That scenario. I think that could be fun. In a light survival situation. Where it's like, I would have fun playing a session, maybe a session and a half, with like some severe survival roles and like stuff like that. But that would get old super quick for me. Did long rest cure level loss for vampirism? Or is that now a thing in 5e? I don't think long rest actually cures everything. And I am pretty sure it doesn't cure vampirism. I think that's a like remove curse kind of thing. I feel like that's something Yahtzee and Marty occasionally bring up. Because they seem to like those kinds of short premise in a game. Yeah, that'd be fun. Because you mix it up a little. Like it's like you're playing a an RPG, and then there's you're in the dining hall, and then there's a someone's dead, and then it becomes a closed roomed mystery until you solve it. Oh, it's a fun little one-off. Yeah, level loss. They definitely doesn't do level loss anymore. Deebs is correct. I think they cut level loss in 3E, and I think that was the smart decision because the amount of math you have to do when you start reducing levels is unbearable. It's also why they got rid of stat damage, because the math you have to do when you deal with stat damage is terrible. Long rest ex machina. Yeah. Yeah, level loss was a mistake. It's a cool idea, but there's so much that works off of leveling that, like, retroactively changing stuff just does not work. And it is more exciting sounding than like oh, -1 to everything. Like, that just sounds real harsh. But it's way easier to do. Had to do it. Had to clear the cache. But yeah, level loss doesn't really exist, as far as I know, in anything in 5e. There's probably some third party out there that was like, I want to try it, and they have a book that includes it. But it's not popular. Again, for very good reasons. Do players need to at least find a safe and secure spot first for a long rest, or some more orcs might ambush them? That's how I always take long rest. I think of long rest as, and this in D&D, but also just kind of anything, that even if long rest itself isn't a mechanic, but just the idea of sleep, you have to be safe. So you can go to sleep. If you're like, uh-oh, I'm being hunted, I'll just curl up behind this bush and hope for the best. Like, no, you're not going to get good sleep just like hearing people parading around you trying to find you. Like, you have to have somewhere relatively safe, relatively comfortable. If you try to sleep in your full armor, that's going to be incredibly uncomfortable. You try to sleep on freaking rocky, sharp ground, that's going to be uncomfortable. If it's, extremely hot or cold, it's going to be uncomfortable. So, like, there has to be some level of comfort. There has to be some level of safety. Those things need to happen in order to have, like, a true rest. Or, like, a long rest. Like, maybe you could, like, relax, take a breather, but not really rest. You're not really going to get good sleep that way. That's how I always think of it. There we go. Speaky says at least stat debuffs were simple in dispatch. Oh, the team morale was low, minus rolled all stats. Yeah, that makes sense. But is that in a like Pathfinder or D&D, -1 to all stats, does that include all modifiers affected by those stats? Because if you have a 13 or you have a 14 strength, right? And then you get a -1 to your stat, that becomes a different modifier. It's now my +1 instead of +2. So does it affect that? Does it affect your skill that's related to the stat that is now lower? Unless you're just like -1, it's morale. You're sad about stuff. Which, fair. Too Many Frogs says level loss seems like the worst kind of kneecapping. In a system like D&D or Pathfinder, yes, I think it does. Because those are built on like the like power fantasy and like building up to something. In other systems, I think it can work because you can show like, oh, you've lost something dear, and that they are more compartmentalized. Like, oh, okay, you can lose this skill or this stat or this whatever, and it doesn't completely change the math of your entire character sheet. And also games where thematically it makes sense. Like a lot of horror games, it makes more sense to have level loss because you are losing something. You are supposed to feel like, you know, you are not powerful, that you can lose these important things. So I definitely feel like it's game dependent. Dowdodger says, I remember a few BS penalties that were great, and certain stat penalties were going into the negatives will kill you. That is true. Because I think if you like 0 con meant you just died, and 0 intelligence meant like your body couldn't breathe anymore, or like 0 wisdom or something like that. There were several, or like 0 strength. You didn't have enough strength to like breathe, so you would just die. But I don't think you could die from like 0 charisma or 0 dexterity. It was weird. Again, 3E has a special place in my heart. 3.5, 3X, all that, because of like playing my first long campaign in 3E. So it's like, oh, I remember. But like looking at it, it's not the most elegant system. Deep says, yeah, we once took a long rest in the middle of enemy fortress. We had a spell that would put protective bubble around us for the duration, but the enemies obviously found us because they already knew we were there and set up a whole ambush when the rest was over. That's funny. They just build a bunch of like downward facing spikes on your bubble, so as soon as it pops, it just gets crushed. Just put a bunch of rocks on it. Or like lean boards on it, and then when it goes, they just go. That'd be funny. I hope I have players that pull that off because I want to try that. Yeah, like a lot of games don't let you sleep or skip time when you're in battle or enemies around, says Speakeasy. Very true. Which I think makes total sense. Long rest, says Durinathal. Rules, as written, are silly. You can have a fight in the middle without issue. Yeah, that is dumb. Quick sleep before the BPG hits us again. Don't know if 5e 2024 fixed it. I also don't know because I haven't read those rules. When someone is paying me to read those rules, I will. Until then, I will play other systems. Long rest leaves your throat wide open for slitting when there are assassins on the loose. Very true. -1 charisma death penalty by death by unpopularity. That's funny. Hey, what's up, Drethnor? Drethnor? Am I saying that right? Howdy, howdy to you and your raiders. Welcome. What brings you here today? First May Frog says, right, Cyberpunk Red's leveling means losing 1 level in a class has a fairly minimal effect on the character outside of specialty, but I don't think there's a method to losing or refunding a level like that. Interesting. Yeah, in Cyberpunk it also makes sense. Also, when you have a game that where like level or XP is like a currency you can use. There's a few of those too. There's probably a lot more than a few, but there's a few I can think of where like that is something that you can have a lot of or less of, and that it's a little more flowy. Cyberpunk's is a currency? Okay, cool. I want to play Cyberpunk Red. Because from what I've heard, it's like a more streamlined version. And I really like the Cyberpunk setting. I tried Shadowrun once and was completely overwhelmed and had no idea what I was doing. I follow y'all. Hey, that's great. Love the content and all. Oh, thank you. Also, I still have fine drinkware. This is my fine Lord of the Rings drinkware. Thank you. Cheers to that. I'm really glad that you enjoy all of our stuff at Second Wind. I'm excited. I've got new guests coming up and some repeat guests coming up for RPG Help Desk. I'm actually trying to schedule this time where it's like at least once a month. I have it just like a this kind of thing. Because I really enjoy just talking to y'all. I hope y'all enjoy it too, because I do. I also have other people. I enjoy having other people on. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to new people. So I'm really glad you enjoy it. Thanks, Dreadthor. Dreadnor. I can't say it. You have a full set of those glasses? Me too. I have one full set and then like 8 extras of some of them. I was trying out midday stream of Red Dead Redemption 2. Started a fresh run going with the Dishonor playthrough. Oh, fun. I haven't played Red Dead 2 or 1. Everybody talks about it. It seems like it should be very good. I'm happy to offer a one-shot to Second Wind community one of these days. I'm not running any games right now. Oh, community still includes staff if you have time. Oh, I would enjoy that. Dreth like death. Drethnor. Okay, cool. I'm dyslexic, so thank you. Words that are like that, where it's like they're a little close, are extra wiggly in my head. Speaky says, sure, I like off-the-cuff chill streams. Everyone should do it more often. Yeah, I think it's really fun. Also, like, a part of what makes this work is that, like, y'all are really chatty. Like, this, I feel like, specifically with Tabletop RPG, and I was talking to Durs about this last week after, either after or before the stream. The one thing we both like about doing this and, like, tabletop stuff in general is, like, it doesn't matter how long you've been playing. If you are interested, there is something here for you. Like, if you were like, oh, that's cool advice I haven't heard before. Or, oh, I have something that, I want to pitch to this. Oh, that's a good idea. Here's what I did for that. Like, there's so much collaborative back and forth that, like, even people that are completely brand new, like, will have a perspective that you don't, and that it can really be informative and cool and interesting, and they can, bring things up you hadn't thought of. And, like, it's just fun. It's the hobby itself is built on collaboration, and I feel like my purpose for this is to keep that spirit of it throughout. That's why I like taking questions. I like getting, topic suggestions. I like having people on talk about stuff. I like reading the chat and, like, knowing what y'all think. I think it's really fun. Oh, I have a reminder for a very important thing that's happening tomorrow. So yeah, thanks. Finished one, but I played it. I think Red Dead was well received too. I mean, it did get a sequel, but there's so much Silent Hill 3 to be played. I don't know exactly what that's referring to, or why we got on the topic of Silent Hill 3, but oh my gosh, Silent Hill 3 is amazing. Hey, Kostos. Daiquiri. It's not your name. Deliri. I'll never forget the misspelling or the mispronunciation of your name. How often does a one-shot turn into a campaign because you love a particular aspect of it? For me, it's not a lot. Because usually if I'm doing a one-shot, it's because the people involved can't have a schedule to commit to a longer campaign. So even if I really like it, it's like, oh, we all like these characters, like, Thursday at 7 just isn't going to work for everybody long term. It just worked this time. So usually not so much, but that's also just my experience. I am sure there are other people. There's been, like, my Thursday night game. That started off as a one-shot, and then the week after it was like, oh, we're going to extend the game to a two-shot, and then we did it. And it's like, hey, I want to run another one-shot next week. Is anybody available? And now it has become, like, short campaigns and one-shots are what we do on Thursday. So, like, and we cycled through a bunch of people until we got, like, the DM and 4 players that were consistently available. And then it was like, hey, rather than just doing one-shots, what if we try mini campaigns? One day this may grow into we do a whole campaign. I'm not sure how long the superhero campaign will last, but I'm very excited for it. But yeah, that's my experience. I'm curious if any of y'all, if that's different for y'all, or if that's the same for y'all, if it's more of a scheduling thing. Because the idea for campaign is way easier to develop than the scheduling. Getting that many people rare. Speaky says, sure, that's why I don't like gatekeeping, because an outside perspective can give some insight to fans. Hadn't thought of. 100% agree. Gatekeeping, go kick rocks. We don't like you here. We want those gates wide open. You know what? Why even have a fence? Knock it down. Drethnor's worst thing ever, being inspired to make a campaign for a game and not knowing where your books are. Where are your books? Are they not on the shelf? How many books do you have? Deebs says, hot take, Silent Hill 3. Pretty good game. Very true. Very good game. I did a review for it on its like 20th anniversary or whatever a few years ago. And like, I feel like gameplay, like pacing, there's some things about it that I don't think it did especially well in like compared to what I remember of 1 and like 2, and even 4 in some areas. But it's a solid game. Cheryl is the best of the 4 protagonists. She has the most personality, where the rest of them are a little more blank slatey. James probably being the least out of the 3 dudes, but like he's a garbage person. Where Heather is funny and cool and like wild, but like the thematics and the theming of that story, I think, are the highest out of the original 4. Like the dealing with someone else saying that they have control over your body and what you have to do with it as a central theme, and voyeurism, stalkers, like just a whole lot of things that especially women have to deal with. It really just, I thought they nailed that as a concept and as like a thing to experience that is truly deeply horrifying. There are also big scary monsters that are also horrifying. It's a really good game. So good. And Deep says, I've had one-shot characters get rolled into longer running campaigns, but I've never had a one-shot just become a long-term thing. Interesting. Also, yeah, one-shot characters that you want to replay, be like, no, I can keep going with this. This has gas in the tank. I think that's one of the fun things about running one-shots too, or like playing one-shots, is that you can just try a concept and like see how, if it's fun for the moment or if it's fun long-term. It's a cool thing to do. Speaky says, if they remake Silent Hill, I think they should just bundle 1 and 3 together. I mean, I think they should be separate games. I mean, like maybe they, sell them together as like a 2-pack after they've made both of them, but I feel like they are distinctly different and should be different. I am a little excited about the Silent Hill 1 remake because the 2 remake was really good, and I would love to see 1 handled with that kind of care. Shocking everyone. Bloober did a great job. I moved, LOL. It's just boxed up with my 5th edition Vampire the Masquerade books. Nice. Okay. That's fair. You don't have like a library and you're like, I don't remember how I organized this. Yeah, they moved and they boxed up. That makes total sense. Also, VTM. God, it's been so long since I played a World of Darkness game and it hurts. I love that. I want to play more. Costa says, I really can't wrap my head around a superhero RPG. Power scales are so relative and weird, so I can't imagine how they would work in a system with rules, since the whole point of superheroes is breaking such rules in the first place. Well, it really depends. Because, like, the idea is, okay, uh, I mean, think about it in RPG terms of, like, oh, you're a level 1 character. You're not going to beat a level 20 character in a fight. That's just like, mechanically, it can't happen. You cannot roll high enough for long enough to beat their armor class and get their 200 HP down to 0 with your non-magical knife that deals 1d4 plus 1 damage. They're going to crush you in one hit. Even if they roll 30 ones in a row and you roll 30 20s in a row, you still won't be able to beat them. You would have to continue that insane luck streak going. They'd have to go AFK. So, like, superhero is kind of, okay, well, where are you on that? Because there's the, like, the lower end. Like, oh, okay, you have, oh, what is it? The people, like, how he described it is, like, you have, like, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage are, like, street level crimes. Like, you could pick up a car, maybe, but you're not, if freaking giant world-eating alien shows up, you're not gonna be able to stop that. Like, you're stopping bank robberies and, like, small groups of gangs and, like, someone that also has limited superpowers. And it's like, so that's your level. That's we're level 1 through 3 here. So if we beat someone level 4, we're terrified. We don't want to go there. And then you can kind of, start ramping that up some. So it's very much kind of built in for that. And then depending on the system itself is a huge part of that. So, like, the power scaling of something like Mutants and Masterminds is very different than the power scaling of, like, the Cypher system, which is what we're using. So, like, there's in Mutant and Masterminds, you can just be immune to kinetic energy as a power, which means you can't be punched or shot because anything that is working off of kinetic energy just won't hurt you. You could just be like, no, thank you. Which is incredibly powerful. And there are things where it's like, oh, you could be immune to electricity. You could be immune to, like, and all these things, and they are expensive powers. But they are, usable. So I would love to talk more about this, but it would be extremely system dependent on, like, how that conversation goes and, like, how to explain how different stuff works. But if you are interested, Mutants and Masterminds is one. Necessary Evil is the Savage Worlds superhero, like, flavor of their rule set, and Claim the Skies is the Cypher system one. And then there are other superhero games too. I think there's a modern Marvel RPG. It's probably several. I have to catch up in chat, but now I'm thinking about superheroes. I'm going to write that down as a possible topic. Deep says Cheryl was Silent Hill personality singularly. It all collapsed into her. Nobody else got any. Yeah. It was building up to her, and then that was it. And that's coming from someone who's like, I love Harry, but in the words of Marty, he's a bit of a dipshit, and I feel like that's great. I feel like that's a good personality for him to have. You're losing something without one, says Speakeasy, through, and the other ones you can play these standalone. Yeah, that's true, because 3 is the direct sequel to 1. That is true. That's so good. Oh, man. Now I just want to play more Silent Hill. Dorinathal, hey, says, I've had one-shot characters that I've liked enough that I wanted to reuse them, but with a different group, it's not the same continuity. Totally. 100% agree. I think I mentioned on stream before, I have a running NPC and character I'll play named Gargles on Bile, who is a flesh golem, and is also a little different. Like, it's going to be in this one shot. Oh, it's an NPC for this game. Oh, it's an NPC for this game. It's a one shot for this game. Small campaign for this game. Always, you got to change it a little bit because it is very much based on the vibes of the group. And I think that's one of the extremely positive things and helpful things about tabletop RPGs is that malleability of a character where they can be a little different. You could play them as, you know, a little older and wiser, a little younger and more reckless, a little older and more reckless, a little bit, I'm going to focus on this aspect of the personality. How would they act with this group versus a different group? How, you know, impressionable are they? It's a fun thing to do. That, again, that malleability is just, it's peak RPGs. How do you determine when it's time to end a long-term campaign? That's a great question. Hang on. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to put it over here. There's also a question from Discord that I want to get to. But I've been having fun chatting, so I haven't done that yet. So, John, I want to answer that, but I'm going to catch up on chat first. Because I'm also curious about what other people have to say. Drethor says, I did buy the Mind's Eye. Oh, not Mind's Eye. Okay, I saw Mind's Eye and I was thinking the video game and I was like, wow, you spent money on that. But no, Mind's Eye Theater, VTM book. I love that they basically made it so you only need one character sheet to both LARP and tabletop. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's really great. One punch from Spider-Man knocks out a bank robber or even Batman. Yeah, like... that, oh, hang on, let me mute. Sorry, that was my Slack. Let me mute my Slack. There we go. Now I shouldn't boop boop again. Sorry for everybody. I just skipped a heartbeat for. Purse snatchers and god killers are quite the upgrade. Yeah. Masks, yes. Thank you, Keeper Days. Masks is powered by the Apocalypse Young superhero game. Yes, that is another one. It also very much depends on, like, the mood of the game you want. Like, we're leaning, you know, like, a bit more positive. It's not like The Boys where it's cynical. It's more like The Tick. But it doesn't have to be that funny. I'm trying to dial down the comedy a little bit because I know the DM doesn't want it as funny as I do. So I'm trying to reel it back a little bit. But, like, jokes are there. Doc Ock punched off, I think, Scorpion's jaw because he didn't realize how strong Spider-Man was. Dang. There's no universe where Batman can defeat Spider-Man. So, okay, I'm catching up on chat. So help me. We will not devolve into what superhero can fight what superhero. I will temp ban people before that happens. Or I guess if that happens. Let's see. Nope. Saying it now. I personally don't think Batman is a superhero in the strictest sense, says Rob DC. Or Iron Man, for that matter. So that's... yes. They're technically not superheroes because they don't have superpowers. Like, but they are in that genre. So, like, the character I'm playing, the Harmacist. Actually, it's just Harmacist. There's no the... has no superpowers, but is on a team of people with superpowers. And is like, has to use like their smarts, their knowledge of drug interactions and stuff like that to help a situation. And like uses, hey, I'm not powered either. Like if you're in a train that's derailing and you're trying to get people to calm down or like to help you out, it's like, hey, I'm not powered either, but I'm doing something. You can too. And like trying to encourage people that don't see themselves as being special. That's like, no, you are. You can help. You can do something. So like, I think you can exist in a world of superpowered people and like even be functional in a team. Batman is very weird in that sense because he's on a team with like Superman and like Wonder Woman and people that are just essentially gods. And he's a dude with a lot of money. And I think it's kind of silly how extreme they have to go with him to like explain why he works with this team, I think is really silly. But yeah, Iron Man, just a suit. Very useful suit. Also, superheroes, huge amount of suspension of disbelief. Absolutely massive. I feel like it's kind of required to bake into the genre. Okay. Before we get completely off topic on superheroes, there was a question that I had about. Oh, hang on. I didn't copy the whole question. And then, yeah, there's a bunch of supervillains that are literally supervillains, and then there's the Bat family, which are just people. Hey, Discordia, how's it going? Penguin doesn't have superpowers. He's just a dude. Like Penguin, Joker, Riddler, like they don't have powers. Money, it's the same as Batman's. I guess that's true. It is just money. Tired how goes it here? It's going pretty well, Discordia. I'm about to read the question from chat or from Discord because we've got completely off topic. Well, it wasn't off topic. It was very important stuff. The question was, I recently got my hands on a set of flashcards for 5e that are all around boons, blessings, and packs that can be earned during the course of a campaign via interactions with various entities, celestial, infernal, primal, etc. But those are the official Wizards of the Coast setups, and while I'll use them for inspiration, there's a lot more that can be done with the concept of non-item, non-transferable boons and or temporary benefits designed for use it or lose it in mind. As someone who has a player as someone who as a player had the Jeremy boon in their back pocket for 3 whole sessions, how would you turn GM similar mechanics for a different play table? Ooh. I love one-time use items that are made for use it or lose it. I'm also very curious about what y'all think about this if you have opinions on it. I think I mentioned Cypher System before. But before we start, hey, Eric, how's it going? See you in the staff channel. I wanted to record the audio bots. These were enabled. I see you. I'm in the staff channel? Oh, I shouldn't be. Hang on. Oh, I am in the staff channel. Oops. Oh, I think I clicked that instead of staff streams. How do I get out of here? Okay, now I'm out of the staff channel. Thanks, Eric. Oops. No, I did not mean to be in the staff channel in Discord. It's just me talking to myself in staff channel. You know, normal Thursday. So one-time use items, use it or lose it stuff. Cypher System does that really well with ciphers, and one of the things they do with that is that it's a limited amount based on your level and like specific stuffs about your classes. You can only hold, let's say, 2 of them to start. Now, but the important part of them being limited use is that there is an abundance of them. That you will find a new one soon, and if you haven't used one of your old ones yet, you don't have space for it. So now you either have to get rid of one of your old ones, or you don't get the new one. So the incentive is there to use them rather than, oh, no, I have this thing that extends my attack by one whole section, 30 feet, whatever it is, whatever system you're using. Oh, well, it might be more useful in the next fight than right now. No, you want to be like, we're starting a fight. Oh, cool. I'm gonna slap this on right now and climb a tree. Like, I got this. You want to have them one method, not all of these. You don't have to do all of these, and not all of them might not work. Is that you want an abundance of them so that they want to use them so there's space for when the next one shows up, rather than having to get rid of one they didn't use. That is one method, which I really like. You could also have them set up as being, you could make them a little less abundant, but a little more, not situational, but like source related. So like you can only have one kind of boon per category, and those categories could be like gods. Like, oh, you can only have one boon from a god. If you have a boon from the god of teeth and you haven't used it yet, and then the god of bubbly beverages wants to give you a boon, but is like, ooh, sorry, you're kind of in it with the god of teeth right now. I'm not gonna step on that. So yeah, you don't get my boon. Like, okay, you only get one from gods in general, but you could have gods from city officials, from criminal organizations, from other things where you can have a bunch of different categories of them, and you can only have so many in a category. So you kind of always want to have at least one open, and maybe limit that to like one or two. So then that way you can use them. Single use item, super interesting. Yeah. Cloak that gives invincibility only once, perhaps. Yeah, but like invisibility, really good, and something that you would. That's an easy one to hold on to. Of like, no, this isn't dire enough. I don't need to be invisible. I might be able to. God, it got dark real fast out. Jeez, I might be able to get away from this. So like, that will work if I know. Oh, I'm gonna find something here, and I'm full on slots, so I might as well use my invisibility now, because the other one I want to keep for another reason or something. So that abundance is important, because if I use it as a single use item, but I'm not going to get another one soon, that's an issue, because I won't want to use it. And now we're stuck in the same problem we had before. Discordia says, I've got an idea for a game brewing. I'm wondering where would start with planning it out. Ooh, good question. I'm going to write that down, because that might be just a whole topic we have to do. Speaky says that's good, so they don't start hoarding it like Zelda Breath of the Wild weapons. You're gonna find more. They'd probably blah pack rat. Yeah. Yes. And then that's the point of the limitation, where it's like if they're abundant, but you can hold an infinite amount or 1,000 of them, then you're still not going to be using them, and you're probably going to lose track of what you have. So you have an abundance of simple, small boons that have a limited inventory. And in the cipher, in the like Numenera, the thing is that these ciphers are so powerful that like when they're near each other, they start to react, and so you can't have more than X amount on you, or they will start like the energies off of each other will start like neutralizing them, and then you'll lose them. Single-use item, says Discordia. I'm reminded of Trifles from Changeling the Lost. Always with the Changeling the Lost, always making me want to play it, because I still haven't. Like Stealth Boys in Fallout, exactly. Which is like a respirator. I do not understand how those Stealth Boys in Fallout work. It's like, breathe this in, then you turn invisible. I remember. Single-use item, Rock of Retcon. Change a word in a sentence the GM or another player has said recently. That's great. I really like that. There is in the Triangle Agency, there was a power similar to that, where someone's ability was like, you make your roll and you can like say something to a person, and then they'll believe that they just said that to you. And like, it was a fun little ability. My character didn't have that. It was like really cool stuff. Sent you a link to a list of trifles from Changeling 1E. Ooh, in Discord. Yes, it is. I see it. Thanks. Crouching works well in Fallout. True. Things like Glimmer Braid Description: a lock of hair from a true fae or a figure of the hedge, which grants temporary illusion of a 3-dot fame merit. I think I understand what that means. Whisper anomaly. Yeah, it's really fun. The breathy thing is jet slow time and add action points. Oh, Stealth Boys is the little device that makes people go insane. Oh, okay. Got it. And then, yeah, I'm thinking of the respirator thing. That's the action points. Which, it's just like, it's just supposed to be drugs, right? Like, that's what it is. Catalog timepiece and growth? Rad. Oh, well, someone's calling me and they can leave a voicemail. Okay, so that's my biggest thing for when you are watching this. Because they also said that they wouldn't be here today. For that is the limited quantity. You can also have it so boons and stuff can be cashed out for something. Like, oh, I have this thing. And it'll give me a plus 10 to my strength. But I never use strength. Okay. Maybe boons, you have an ability, just everybody has the ability to take a boon they do not want and convert it into something else. That something else is not as powerful or as useful as the boon. But it is more universal. It's just a small bonus of like, but you could just get up plus whatever to a roll. Not nearly as strong as whatever it was, but it's a little bit of something just to burn it. Or like it's worth an amount of money. Or you can use it as a bargaining chip. Like you can pass it to someone else. A little IOU. So something like that could be helpful too for being able to add more abilities for it. Because it also, I'm not sure why all the reasons they might not be using it. And one of them might be because they're too niche. Give them a secondary ability that's less niche. Have you played the Triangle Agency? How'd you like it? If you did, I did play it. I played in a little campaign of it, and Discordia also plays it. It's Paperwork the RPG. There are things about that I like, and there are things about it I don't like. I think it has an incredibly great grasp on how to build a team in game. Like, you have to utilize everybody's abilities and like positions, and you have to pay attention to everybody's demerits and commendations and what they can and can't do to get those. A really cool thing about like leveling is you have to ask a specific question to the rest of the party, and the rest of the party has to answer it for your character. And that's part of your progression, is how the party sees you versus how you want to be seen. So it's like, oh, I do fight or flight? And the party will say, oh, you usually run away. But you're like, no, I want to fight. I'm thinking about fighting. It's like, yeah, but you're usually running away. And then that changes like your tree on how you progress a little bit, essentially. It's really neat. There's also like 8 pages of character sheets for your character. The book has a lot of rules in it that play off of very specific things. It's neat because when you do a roll, for every die you roll that's not a 3 on a d4, it gives the DM chaos, which they can use as a currency to complicate situations. So every time you want to do something good, you're still kind of moving towards something bad. That's pretty interesting. It's super weird, and I like that part of it. And I feel like the game design is kind of supposed to feel a little unruly because it's supposed to be so weird. Like if something as like strict as Pathfinder 2 would not work in the SCP style scenarios it puts you in, because you have these exact grounded clear rules. But you are dealing with things that should be actively breaking the rules of existence that you know. So you need a rule set and a book that really lets you be wibbly wobbly with it. And it is built like that. So I enjoyed playing it. I would play it again. I do not think I would ever run it, though. It is too rules heavy for me to be comfortable running. And I wouldn't want to run it with people that like a real hear the rules, follow them kind of game, because they're probably not going to have fun or not going to understand how it works, because it's weird and wibbly wobbly. So that's my opinion. I think this got some cool stuff. And it's weird because a lot of my complaints about there's so many rules is also part of some of those rules are really what make it cool. So it's a weird balance. Cow shit from mutant cows after feeding them mushrooms. That's just a delightful sentence. This is neat. Utter barb, a thorn from a hedge, from the hedge, which is used to scratch a victim, robs them of their voice for one scene. That's freaking cool. That is a good little one-time use item. I love one-time use items. I know Stealth Sniper. Oh, favorite build, Fallout. It's pretty good. I love when people learn that kindred are the lowest in terms of power of the supernatural species in World of Darkness. The vampires? Yeah. I guess technically hunters aren't supernatural, so yeah, it's still vampires that are the lowest. But they're so fun. They just got such cool abilities. I love the vampires. But yeah, like mages can warp reality and werewolves are basically indestructible. What's the most useless skill you've ever seen called out in games rules? What do you mean? Like not tying as a specific skill? Or like, what was it in 3E? Hide and move silently were separate? That's pretty dumb. Like that kind of thing? Or 90% of the rules in Rifts? I have not played Rifts. I believe that. Because Rifts is one of those, hey, we need every single skill possible. If it's what I'm thinking of. Mummies are indestructible. Probably. I have not read any of the mummy stuff in World of Darkness. Rifts has too many damn skills. I believe it. Oh, language skills? Oh, it's too many. You can do any RPG with 3 skills: physical, mental, assets. A crime bastard. I think that is a mostly true statement. But I think there are things you could use that start bending that and like don't quite fit in those. But like as a base rule, that's pretty solid. Because then you have things like faith. Is it mental? I mean, it's not your mentality doing stuff. It's your belief in something, but that's not really mental. So is that an asset? Like there's, and then like real wibbly wobbly stuff, but like basically physical, mental, and objects is a pretty good way to break it down. Call of Cthulhu is a language skill, but it has been tied to a specific language. My vamp game has used face-to-face with a mummy right now. Oh, we're doing 1580s interlude. Play out the backstory of regular NPCs. Oh, that's cool. Converse with sea creature. Is that a skill? Oh, okay. So systems. Or sorry, not systems. Boons. You could also, another thing with boons is they have a literal expiration date. Like 5 in-game days you have to use this by, or it expires. And it could still be useful afterwards. Like you use it in 5 days or it expires, and then it just becomes a plus 1d4 on a roll. So you don't literally lose everything. Or you could be like, it's nothing. All the magic is gone. Poof. This contract is not worth the paper it's written on anymore. Oh, yeah, pushback from Kostos. I love it. Saying, well, it's mental because it depends on willpower, specifically the will to keep believing. See, I'm not sure. I have met, coming from a very religious background, I feel like I have met people where the mentality has nothing to do with the faith. And that it's sometimes a complete lack of that gives them faith in something that is unclear, absurd, plethora of things. I think it's a possibility that it is your mental fortitude that has you believing a thing. But also, even if you believe it, it's not necessarily your belief that's like causing that to happen. It could be an outside force. I love the setting of Rift, but the system is cumbersome. Isn't there like a Savage Worlds hack for Rifts? Hey, Meredith, how's it going? Tell that to the orcs. You got me there. Yeah, that's true. Actually, orcs are the difference in that if they believe it, then it just reality bends until it becomes true. God, I love Warhammer orcs. It's such a good lore bit. I think that was my main thing. Types. Yeah, because I mentioned types, and you had mentioned Celestial, Infernal, Primal, etc. So those could all be types where it's like, oh, you can only have 1 or 2 of those types. So, again, you'll want to have a slot open when you find a new one. Also, make using them rewarding. A big thing about using items, especially one-time use items, is like, what if it's wasted? Like, what if it wasn't worth it? Like, maybe when you use an item, something unrelated that is good happens. So like every time you use an item, then this is a bad example, but like every time you use one of those boons, it transforms into 10 gold. At least you got 10 gold out of it. Like something positive happens because you did the thing, even if it wasn't the best use of the thing. So a big part of all the things I'm mentioning is also positive reinforcement. You just want them to feel good about using the item. In Warhammer 40k, your ignorance informs your mental shielding from chaos, so we can talk about mental abilities even if they're negative. I do like that. Probably my favorite class in Rifts. Tattooed Atlanteans. Ooh. I don't know if anybody else has tips on how to get players to use or what makes you want to use one-time use items. I'd be very down to hear it. But like those are the biggest things I think for me personally. It's like, GURPS can handle rifts easily. It's GURPS. I believe it. Needs to feel not bad to use. Yeah, that's another good point on the subject of positive reinforcement. Not feel bad to use. Like if it costs like a whole turn to activate, unless it's like you bring down a meteor strike, it should be like you interact with it. It is the equivalent of like a bonus action at best, or at its hardest. Like you want them to use it. Don't make it take up a bunch of time. Because then you've given up a cool thing that you could have been doing to take a gamble on this item. Nothing feels worse than using one-time use item and nothing happens. Yeah. Feels pretty bad. Hey, Gargadargus. Hello to you. The ones I mostly recently saw is there are focus stones or something that basically give you sorcerer meta magic ability. Ooh, that's cool. That's a good item. It's a fun little bit. So it's like, oh, I have the extra effect. So you always got the effect. Oh, that's neat. Yeah, if no one else has a thing, I feel like that's probably the best I've got for it. But you could choose when to apply it once. Interesting. That's fun. I think you've already mentioned it before, Speakeasy. Being abundantly available and having limited capacity stockpile. Yes, I did, but we'll say it again. An abundance of them, and you can only hold so many, so you can't hoard them. And when you use one, you will not have that spot open for long in your inventory. Deep says, unfortunately, I am the player who doesn't want to use a one-time use item, because what if I need it later? So, Deebs, what would that? I feel like that's a perfect case study. What would make you use that item? Like, would making it like what we were talking about of you find plenty of items, but you can only hold so many? Would that encourage you? I don't know. Historically, later never comes. Is there anything like? Is there anything you could think of that you personally are like, that you're waiting for the trigger on, for when you're like, oh, it's now later, time to use it? Is there something, or is it kind of nebulous? And so, if it's nebulous, my thought being it might be that you always think, oh, a thing will happen, then I'll know to use it. But I know I do this. I don't have a set trigger for what that thing is. So no matter how chaotic and horrible things get, I'm just like, it doesn't register that that's the thing to be like, oh, we'll make it better. It's like, no, but it could get worse. No, it could get worse. No, it's not this thing. I always forget that I have things. That's also a big part of a limited inventory, I think. That's helpful because I also forget that I have things. Not that I've ever had armor that boosts my swimming ability and then didn't use it. Just saying. Rob says, I don't like when there's a load mechanic, but it doesn't apply at certain times. Oh, it doesn't apply to certain items. Yeah. Yes. I think there should be, I really like wibbly wobbly load mechanics where it's like, you convince me that what you're carrying is a reasonable amount and I'm okay with it. And then that's what you're carrying. Speaking says, I remember hoarding a bunch of ammo for big guns at the end of Rage for a final boss that never came, and I felt like an idiot. Big mood, Speakeasy. Yeah, that's Deep says, yeah, it's that trope of hero gets a thing and doesn't know what it's for. And the giver says, when the time comes, you'll know what to do. Yeah, bullshit. You will not know what to do when the time comes. You will forget about it, or you'll be like, nah, this can't be it. But the time either never comes, or they were wrong. You don't know what to do. Same thoughts. Exact same thoughts. Agree. Never check weight. Yeah, I always go by what's a reasonable amount. Because, yeah, I do not want to track weight. I feel like Pathfinder 2 has the best actual track system of, like, you can hold so many bulky items, and you can, like, you can hold 4 bulky items. Certain items are bulk 1, bulk 2, whatever, and then items are, like, I forget what the item thing under bulk is called, but it's like 10 of these equal 1 bulk. So it's like, yeah, a bunch of small items. It is way easier than like, this is 24 pounds, this is 6 pounds, but I have 3 of them. But then if I use one, then, you know, got to remember to subtract 6 pounds from it. Like, it just is too much. Like, how would you carry 100 potions, but only 2 plates and a spoon? That also big video game problem, Rob, where it's like, oh, you have to carry 100 potions because we want you to be able to heal, but plates and spoons we don't expect you to carry, so that's going to take up your inventory. So that has weight, but potions don't. Discordia says, speaking of ammo, wasp shot. That sounds terrifying, and I hate it already. A shell casing filled with hedge wasp wings and sealed with wax. This bullet completely ignores penalties caused by concealment or cover, as the bullet goes straight through, damages the gun, giving -1 to the gun for each wasp shot fired until looked at by a gunsmith. That's really interesting. So you are slowly breaking your gun in order to guarantee a shot. That's cool. What a neat idea. That's a really good give and take. The only inventory mechanic you need is you can have any number of small, cheap, legal, common items. You can have one item that breaks each of those descriptors. That's a pretty decent way to put it. But also, you can have any number of small, cheap, legal, common items. Cool. So I can have 10 billion pencils. You gotta... There has to be some limit on there. It's like, oh, how do I beat this dungeon? I fill it, I open my bag, and I pour out pencils, which is similar. The bag of chickens, where I've seen it on Reddit, and I don't remember who's the source is from, but it's like you have a bag of holding full of chickens, and the idea is chickens cost 2 copper, so you just buy like an insane amount of chickens and then go to the start of a dungeon and just empty your bag of a bajillion chickens and shoo them into the dungeon, and then they set off every trap, they feed every monster, they disrupt anything that's invisible, and then you can walk into the dungeon and you're fine. I like that. Let's do that with pencils because they're cheap, legal, and small and common. You get them at the dollar store. What if I get a copper chicken? Even better. Oh my gosh, Gargadargus, you're on a streak. I don't know if that shows up for anybody else or it was just us two. I don't mean to call you out. Played at a table with weight rules lawyer. Oh, and when we loaded out in session 1, he literally looked up every single item before letting us actually start playing. I would probably leave, or I'd be like, you're in charge of weight. If that is a thing, honestly, if that was a thing that someone was just very excited about, be like, okay, as you have a scribe to keep track of what's happened for like, oh, let me take notes of what's happened, have the weight scribe. You are responsible for everybody's weight and how much they are carrying. If that is something that one person is excited about, then they can make that their job, and that can be kind of cool. But then they have to keep track of it for everybody. Because, like me, I'm not keeping track of it. That sounds horrible. But if someone else was like, oh, yeah, I absolutely love counting ammo. Like, okay. You could do that. And, like, you could keep track of how many bullets I shoot. Sure. Dungeon Crawler Carl logic. I don't know who Dungeon Crawler Carl is, but now I think I like Dungeon Crawler Carl. I cannot say that correctly. And if you're really in a bind, you can stab people with them. Exactly. Pencils are so useful. Twitch suddenly post your streaks out of increments of 5. I don't get it. That's bizarre. A cap including chickens. I don't know which chickens are cops. Or is it the joke that all chickens are beautiful? There's only 3 of us. Why do we have a quartermaster? What are they doing with those scales? You don't know Dungeon Crawler Carl? It's a book series. I do not. That's cool. I have to look it up. Okay, I don't have any more answers for that one. So, John and Arbuckle and Discordia asked questions, so I did want to try and answer this. I'm also curious what you all think. Sir John Arbuckle said, how do you determine when it's time to end a long-term campaign? And I would say the easiest answer is when you are not getting excited about it. Great time. When you feel like a story is coming to a close and you need a break. When a cool thing happens or, an arc finishes and you don't have an idea for the next section. When you just need some time. When you need someone else to take over DMing for a bit so you can recharge. When players seem disinterested. When you have you've come to a good stopping point and you have a new idea that you really want to dig into. I think all of those are good. A big part of it is talking to your players. You do not have to have the end of the campaign be a surprise. Be like, hey, I've got this cool idea. I know we're playing this fun fantasy game, but I got this cool idea for a sci-fi game. And I think maybe in like 3 to 5 more sessions, we're going to wrap up the story I have for this campaign. Y'all want to start a new one after that? It's communication, and communication. The big things. Yeah, when you've reached your Speakeasy said like how showrunners know when it's time to end a good show and a high note rather than milk it. Yeah, like when you were like, here's how I want it to end. Here's the end of my ideas. Those are all positive. And also, ending it for now doesn't mean just, you can never return to it. We're never going to play these characters again. We're never going to do this campaign again. But just, hey, it's over for now. Maybe we'll come back. Rob says, I like to close on an arc, then check the table. Yeah, that's really good. Check the table. Communication. Too Many Frogs says, I brought the primary arc of game 1 to a logical end, but my players wanted more, so I started a semi-permanent hiatus. Yeah, exactly. Great way to do it. I wouldn't call chickens small. That's fair. Chickens are not small. Pencils, though. I'm going to fill a dungeon with pencils. Start at the top, roll them down. It's very dumb. It's not an actual strategy to fill a dungeon with pencils, unless I can figure it out. Costa says, on the other hand, would you say that every ending is permanent until it isn't, and you can reopen eventually? No, I don't think so. I don't think every ending is permanent until you reopen it. I think because it might not even be you who reopens it. Like, I've played games in settings that I have played as a player. I've ran games in settings that I played as a player in someone else's campaign, where it's like their setting, and like had NPCs from that place, and like if it wasn't the same timeline or the same like time period, it's like, oh well, here is the city. Here's Good Harbor. Oh, it's a place. I know this place because I played in this game. I'm going to use the map and the world and all this other cool stuff. So like, yeah, I don't feel like it's end until it starts again. I feel like it technically never has to end. And it's wibbly wobbly. It might be a final end, but who's to say? Game One's actually... Wait. Too Many Frog says, I've talked with my Game 2 folks, and we've stopped because I can't get any good story going, but we all want to play other games together. Game 1's actually on semi-permanent hiatus because of 2 of my players are now my exes. Aww. Can you merge the groups? Now I'm curious. Sometimes getting a good story is difficult. Like where you can't just, you can have a good idea, but things just don't quite mesh with the group. Or like you think something has legs and then it goes in a way you weren't expecting, or something happens where you're like, oh, I actually am out of ideas. Sometimes it happens. It's okay. Again, communicate. Be like, hey, I thought this was going somewhere, and turns out, nope. Can we all do something else? I really want to play more games with you. As you were saying, like, people that want to play together. Meredith says, we try to start talking about what's next a little before we think the campaign will end. I agree. I think it's a good idea to get excited for a thing before it ends and start working on, little ideas for the next thing. It also helps because, much like holding items until, the eventual, I'll need it when I know it kind of thing. If you know something's wrapping up, then you have a better idea of like, oh, I should use all of my one-time use items. We're done in a few weeks. Like, I'm not going to be able to use them later. This is the end of this. Good incentive. And it helps when you know that versus, oh, yeah, well, okay, well, it may not work for this arc, but the next one it'll work. It's like, surprise, there isn't a next one. Good to know. So, yeah, I think talking about what's next and, like, just getting people excited for what's next and getting opinions and thoughts. Very important and very helpful. Knowing as a DM what other people are excited about for the next game, for your sci-fi game, for your horror game, for your Vampire the Masquerade game, whatever it is, that helps inform you of what to focus on as you're building it out. From like the conception on versus you made a thing, you introduced it to players, and then they grabbed onto something that you weren't expecting, and now you have to pivot. Endings are only as permanent as creators and viewers want it to be. That's a good way to put it. That's been me before. Somehow, Deebs, I just assumed that was in relation to the, and I have items I didn't use at the end of the campaign. Campaigns shall not end until the world-saving arc has happened, either by success or failure. Yeah. Maybe the world-saving arc failed. I've been a part of that campaign. The planet did blow up. We did escape on a spaceship, but we also didn't stop the planet from exploding, so there's a bit of a problem. That's about all I have for that, John Arbuckle. Does that answer your question? Campaign shall not end. Oh, okay. Just I'm not playing a world-saving arc. Well, then it's not over yet, Discordia, because it's not over till the world-saving arc. I'm just kidding. Yeah, John, does that answer your question? Because that actually kind of works into what Discordia asked, too. Rob says, I get some people not liking to have a definite, we are ending on this session because it obviously invites more metagaming to get a desired outcome, but I personally don't hate metagaming. I feel like metagaming needs, you're playing a game. A bit of metagaming is totally understandable. Like, yeah, you do need to know the rules, and you want to do things within those rules, and that requires a little bit of metagaming. So I don't think it's just a dirty word all the time, for sure. I'm with you on that, Rob. Crime Bastard says, I find the use a fate point to ask a question mechanic works well. Love that mechanic. Love fate points. Love fate. It's good stuff. Everyone subconsciously metagames a bit. Yeah. It does indeed. All right. Awesome. Which brings us to Discordia's question of, I got an idea for a game brewing, and I'm wondering, where do you start in planning it out? I'm curious what everybody else has to say as well. Discordia, I think the first place to start is talking to the players. You have a cool idea. You're brewing. Do you have players that are going to play this game? Bring that idea up to them. Do they like it? What do they like about it? What do they want to do in that sort of a game? Again, like superhero game. Like, oh, I want to run a low-powered superhero game with street-level crimes. Like, ooh, that's cool. I thought about this hero that just can make things taste like cheese, and it's a really terrible power, but they try to use it for good, and they'll never be a part of the Justice League, but they could at least, help out Winnipeg or wherever they're from in whatever way they can. It's silly, but I want to play that character. Like, what are things that other people can get excited about for that? So bringing it up to them is a great place to start. So people know what's happening. I think another great place to start is, what are you excited about? Like, whatever it is, what's the thing that excites you? If I was like, I'm going to make an NPC game, an SCP game, the thing that I would be most excited about is throwing completely nonsensical, world-breaking or reality-breaking things at my players that they are not expecting, and then seeing how they figure out how to deal with it. I have a one-shot I've run where everybody plays, a character in like an SCP-style setting, and they go to a place where everybody, like an apartment building, and everybody there is dead. And there's no like visible wounds, but there is like a weird kind of infection on their skin of all the dead people. And the, SCP style group, I would just say it's SCP because I'm not getting paid for it. Like, nobody can cease and desist my home game. Send them in and is like, we think this is an anomaly, so check it out. And like, how did all these people die? What order did they die in? Like, does that matter? All these different things. And then the fun thing is they have to figure it out. And what it is an infection, but the way it transfers from the host to the next victim of the infection is when you have the same thought at the same time. So when you share a thought. So like all that, like, I was thinking the same thing, or Jinx said the same thing, like anything like that, where if you agree on something at the same time, like you have the same thought, then it transfers if one of you was infected. And so the players in the scenario, when they start agreeing on things, then the infection starts spreading, and then they see it spread more. And it's when they like start piecing together when infection appears to be getting worse and worse, what has happened. And then they did figure it out, and it was delightful. Because the person who figured it out was like, okay, nobody agree with me, but I'm going to tell us what to do. I figured it out. It was very fun. So like, that's what I would be excited about making things like that. So that's probably where I would lead in with, is just, I want to make these fun, weird scenarios. I probably wouldn't get deep into the bureaucracy of the Foundation unless a player was like super into that part of it. And then I would, okay, let me add a little bit more to that depth. So yeah, what are you excited about? What are your players excited about? I think that's probably the best place to start. That's my answer. I'm curious if anybody else has an opinion on that too. I think people conflate metagaming with obnoxious min-maxing. That's very true. That they are a little different, or quite a bit different. I played Necromancer with crippling marijuana addictions in the 90s. IO superhero campaign. That sounds fun. Discovery says, I feel my pitch is more small town mage game inspired by a recent watch of Twin Peaks. Interesting. So, like, what about, and you don't have to answer this in text, but like, what about Twin Peaks specifically interests you? Like, what is it that you're like, oh yeah, I want this to be like that? And don't be shy about telling your players that too, because if someone was like, I want to run a Twin Peaks style game, there's a few, just from hearing that, there's like a few ways I could take that of like, oh, I think it's going to be a this style game, and that might not be the exact tone that the DM was going for. So just tell them, communicate. The other thing is, I'm not super familiar with Twin Peaks. I've seen a few episodes. So if someone was like, I'm running a Twin Peaks game, be like, cool, I'll play, but I don't really know what a Twin Peaks game is like. I know that there's an FBI agent, and he drinks coffee, I think, right? The damn fine cup of coffee that's from Twin Peaks. And someone gets murdered, and there might be supernatural stuff, but I don't actually know. Someone carries a log, I think. Like, I don't know much about it. So, like, you explaining what you like about it or what aspects of it are fun or interesting, or that you want to explore, helps players get to know and be able to groove with it better. Coffee and apple pie is this thing, I think, or cherry pie, I forget. Fair. This addictive drug is fictional and only existed in the 90s. Yep, it's true. Do you have any, does that answer your question, Discordia? Do you have any additional questions on that? Excuse me. Because, yeah, that would be, and also if anybody else has an answer, I don't think there's a wrong answer for this. I don't even think completely surprising your players is a wrong answer, assuming that they're cool with that. It'd be like, hey, show up. We're going to start a game on Sunday. That's all you know. If everybody is on board with that concept, awesome. You don't know what genre you are, if you're going to make characters, if you got pre-gen characters. That's what people are into. Cool. I want to watch all the David Lynch stuff one day without other people holding my hand about it. That's fair. It was food for thought. I'm more inclined to flesh the bones out a bit before bringing it to prospective players. Cool. Then yeah, but I'd still say, what are the, I guess, the particular bones you want fleshed? That sounds like a horrible saying, but we're going with it. And then kind of build that out and just have fun writing some stuff down on, yeah, like what avenues you want to explore with it. Oh, fun characters. Yeah. I really don't want to have the takeaway be flesh the bones you want, but I guess given what you said, that yeah, that's fits. X-Men universe. Ronald Reagan was a car in Wasteland 3? Is Wasteland the games that were made by the developers of the original Fallout? Jesse is a red cap confirmed? Oh no. I think that's bad. That's one of those them Fey things that kill with a scythe, right? They probably kill with something. They mean Fey. Okay. Dang. I was hoping I'd be one of the fun ones, but turns out one of the mean ones. Wasteland came first. They lost the rights and they made Fallout. Oh, okay. But there's like Wasteland 2 was like within the past 20 years, and then Wasteland 3. Also, the original Fallout was supposed to be in the GURPS system, and then they couldn't get the rights to it, so they had to make their own system, and that's why it's called Special. Their dreams of hunger and can eat anything. God, I wish I could eat anything. I got such a delicate tummy. I love spicy food. You make it spicy, it's a higher chance I'll eat it. But like, man, my tummy gets so upset at so much. It's upsetting. If you're going to be a mean fae, you might as well be one with a scythe. At Deeps, that's a great point. We'll excuse us for a moment. Our red cap is eating a church. Fair. Most of the good stuff is let's make our own version of IP we can't touch. That's fair. So long as you tell me it accepts watermelon, it does accept watermelon. It loves watermelon. Watermelon's so good. Okay. I think that's it for me today. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all next week, or hopefully all of you next week. Because it's, what day is it? 22nd? Oh, yeah, because Jenna's going to be on. And we're specifically going to be talking about cursed items. She seems very mean in a great way, because the first time we talked about mimics, now we're going to talk about cursed items. Pretty exciting. Oh, is it? Shoot. Over the jack slot? Okay, well then I think they should be done by the time I'm up. But if not, then I guess I'll reschedule Jenna. Yeah, I think the Xbox Showcase will be done by the time I go on. But if it's not, I'll have to reschedule. You're very welcome. Thank you all for coming. This was a delight. Thank you for first-time chatters and raiders. Thanks. Thank you, everybody who's here and has been here multiple times. I've been doing this, I think it's close to a year now. Because I think I started a few months after PAX. Aw, thank you, Deeps. Much appreciated. Drink water. I drank all my water. Oh, wait. Now I drank all my water. I'm actually quite thirsty, so I do need to drink more water. You're doing this as if I've been here. It's one of the reasons I keep sticking around. Aw, thank you. The stream is on YouTube now, right? I thought Nick mentioned that in December. It is going to be. I'm currently working with some people on like the branding and stuff for it. So like there will be like a single person overlay when I do these, and we're redoing a little bit of this overlay. The second D10 is getting swapped for a D8, and we're going to change a few other things. But like, yeah, that's getting worked on. So that should be soonish. It could be as soon as next week. I don't know if it will be. But yes, eventually soonish it will also be co-streamed on YouTube. Very excited for that. Fetch some watermelon. It's not in season. I don't see it anywhere. I would love it though. God, I love watermelon. So good. All right, I'm leaving. I hope you all have an absolutely delightful rest of your day. I hope you have some fun RPG stuff throughout the week. And if you do, you can tell me about it. Bye.